host on this channel. In this video, we will have our discussion on the concept of SARV ASHTAKVARGA table. So now friends, I had already introduced this topic to you guys in my last upload, but in this video, we will try to get deeper into the importance and other parameters of this important chart in Vedic astrology. Because friends, like the way I always say this thing, like whether you're following Prashri astrology, Gemini astrology, KP astrology, but when we talk about getting an idea about the strength areas of your life, and that too just via looking at the chart once in just one side, so this chart can actually play a very pivotal role. Because friends, you must have heard this marketing terminology, SWOT analysis: strength area, weakness, opportunities, threat. So looking at the Ashtakavarga chart is going to give you a composite information. Because friends, like a general or a basic way of looking at any astrological chart is that you will first look at the rising sign, then you will look at where moon is placed, ascendant lord is placed, where all the planets are placed, and there are planets with additional aspect which also exert their influence because of their additional aspect. But friends, in a way, all the planets exert their combined influence in specific houses as well, and their combined influence in a way gives some additional weightage to certain houses and decline the signification or the power of certain houses, which can be very easily calculated from the Ashtakavarga table. So that is something, friends, which we will try to understand in this video. So I already gave you a basic introduction in the last video. In this video, we are going to take up the chart of a celebrity as well, one of my favorite comedian, Robin Williams, and because his moon nakshatra is very much close to me, so I can fairly relate his life as well. So we will take up his chart and we will see the importance and all the principles of the Ashtakavarga. We will try to see their practical application in his life. And definitely, friends, all the importance of this SARV ASHTAKVARGA, how it can be used while studying transit, while doing compatibility, while handling the concerns of gains, income, profession. So how can SARV ASHTAKVARGA table help us or provide us information? That is something which we will try to do in this video. So now friends, just a quick summary of what we discussed in the last video. So as you know that in total in SARV ASHTAKVARGA, we are going to have 337 total points and we have 12 houses. If you will divide it, you will get the answer as the 28.08, which in itself tells about that this is a number. Like if you will find any house getting either 28 or more than 28 points, so that house will be considered as strong, as good. And if you will find points from 21 to 28, that will be considered as average, and anywhere between or less than 21 will be considered as that this house or its significations are little bit weak in the life of the native. Now friends, the first thing, like the way, because today we are going to have our discussion on the chart of the Robin Williams. So first I will just give you a overview of his natal chart. So as you know that looking at his Lagan chart, so he was born with the Libra rising. And the main thing which we have to give attention to, not only he is an entertainer, but in his life he actually battled with depression, with addiction, obsession, many mental issues and mental health issues. And if you will see over here in his 5th house, his moon is conjunct with Rahu. So, and moon is placed in the Sadbhisha nakshatra, and the degrees of Rahu and moon are very strongly conjunct with each other. And I've said this thing so many times that Sadbhisha can make you creative, Sadbhisha can give you strong intellectual probing powers, but if you're not going to have a restraint, Sadbhisha natives tend to remain very, very highly prone to suicidal thoughts, depression, addiction, drug addiction. So he fell prey to the negative side of the energies of the Sadbhisha. And friends, I don't know whether you guys know this thing or not, but he committed suicide. And I even looked at the chart like at the time when he committed suicide. So at that time, Saturn and Mars was transiting right over there on his 1st house, basis ascendant. He had at that day, moon was transiting in the Aquarius only, in the Sadbhisha, and he was running the dasha of the Ketu. So he was in the Ketu Mahadasha and Saturn Antardasha. In a way, it makes a very alchemist kind of combination, because Ketu in itself is the Moksha Karaka, and the Antardasha Lord was also well placed in the 12th house. So there is a lot which can be decoded only at the time when he died. But now we will only focus only on the Ashtakavarga discussion. So now friends, you know about the life of this person. You can fairly see the resonance of this entertainment business which he was part of, and the struggle and the inner battle he faced in the life. So now friends, the chart is open right in front of you. So first I'm going to explain you one more time the importance of all the houses in the SARV ASHTAKVARGA chart. So now friends, when we say that if you're going to have strong points in the first house, an empowered first house in the SARV ASHTAKVARGA table just tells about that your personality is competent, confident, there is no issue of lack of self-esteem or lower self-esteem which you need to compensate with drugs or any of the outside world's approval. When we talk about friends, second house, it plays a very pivotal role because this is the house of the finances, and like the way a general guideline which is being followed while looking at the SARV ASHTAKVARGA table is that your second house should have more points compared to the 12th house, because second house is the house of income and 12th house is the house of expenses. So you should have more income. Now friends, come to the third house. Now third house, which is the house of your desires, courage, valor, communication. Now in his case, because he was a comedian, and to be a comedian, to be a stand-up comedian, the way he started his professional career, and also friends, in order to be a comedian, you have to make use of your body language, lot of gestures and all of that. So you need to have a strong third house. And like the way many senior and renowned astrologers follow this principle while studying the SARV ASHTAKVARGA table is that they always make a comparison of the third house with the 11th house, because third house is the house of your desires. How many of those desires are going to get fulfilled? You have to see it or compare it with the 11th house. Now friends, you also have to take into consideration that just opposite to the third house is the 9th house, which is the house of divine grace, fortune and your luck. So that can also play a very pivotal role. Now friends, over here I want to share this one incident with you guys, which is I read in some of the folk tale. So where it has been written and mentioned that once what happened, the creator of the gods, Lord Brahma, he was once very angry, and in his that angry mode he went to Kailasa to see Lord Shiva, like the abode of Lord Shiva. So Lord Shiva has gone for the meditation and he spotted Lord Shiva's wife. So the moment he saw goddess Parvati, he got very angry and he started screaming that, has your husband lost his mind? So goddess Parvati also got like very agitated, because which obedient wife can listen the insult of her husband? She said, how dare you talk like this about my husband? He says that just because of the generosity and innocence of your husband, he is just showering blessings and gifts and the siddhya to everyone. So goddess Parvati in a defensive mode said, okay, so he's giving it from his will, from his home, he's not taking anything from you. Then he said, no, it's not like that. It's like whatever I have written in the destiny of the people, all of that has been written on the basis of their karma. Now I have written a destiny of someone that in this life, just because in the past you done so many atrocious, so many negative deeds, that you are going to suffer and you're not going to have one single ounce of happiness in this life. That is your punishment. And when I look back on the earth, I see that person living in luxurious home, driving luxury cars, having all sort of happiness. And how come all of that got possible? Because of the blessing of your husband. So she says, my husband's name in itself is Shiv. Shiv in itself means Kalyan, welfare. So how can he not do that? So just giving you this answer to the third house in the 11th house chemistry, that the 9th house, the house of your worship, and specifically worship of certain deities and gods who are very innocent, who are very benevolent, can actually make a difference as well. Now friends, coming to the fourth house, fourth house you have to see for the prospects of, like for certain people, like someone like me who work from home or anything to do with the real estate and all of those concerns. If your life hovers around that area, so the points in the fourth house can give you a very fair idea on that. Now friends, fifth house is a important house of the entertainment business. Looking at the fifth house also becomes important. Sixth house friends is the house of enemies. So over here as well friends, like are your enemies going to like overthrow you, overpower you, or in the face of any difficult situation, are you going to get the support of your friends or not? So here also you have to make a comparison of the 6th house and the 11th house. But now again friends, in certain professions. If you are a politician, if you are a lawyer, you are a cop, so having more points in the 6th house and being malefic planets placed over here can also sometimes help. Now friends, 7th house also becomes very important. This is the house of public, of masses, of your partner. So a strong 7th house is definitely going to give more weightage in the matters of the 7th house. 8th house friends is a very important house for all those people connected with the fields of occult, mystery. 9th house friends, this is the most important house. This is the house of your luck and fortune. I always say this thing, I do not know whether I have talent or not, but I have bhagya and bhakti. So fortune and worship is something which you get from the 9th house. Now friends, 10th house needs to be very strong to have a strong career and a strong goal-driven approach in the life. 11th house friends is the house of wishes. Friends, 11th house even here plays a very pivotal role. Like you have to make a comparison of the 10th house and the 11th house as well, that the kind of work you are doing, the much efforts you are putting in, how much are the gains you are getting in return. Like, are you putting more work and less returns, less gains, or even putting less efforts, you can get more gain. So that you can get to know why making a comparison of the 10th house and the 11th house. And lastly friends, 12th house also plays a very pivotal role, specifically in the cases of people eyeing for foreign settlement, who want to work in multinational companies and all of that. So that is a way friends, looking at the overall consolidated summary of the SARV ASHTAKVARGA table. Now friends, applying all the knowledge of all the 12 houses of the SARV ASHTAKVARGA table in the life of the Robin Williams. So now you can freely see over here that his 3rd house has got 37 points, which can be seen as a blessing in disguise for someone who is a performing artist, someone who is and who made his career being a performer, being a comedian. The second thing is that friends, in his case, you will see that his 10th house and 7th house has got very strong points, which can be seen as a very good sign. I always say this thing, if you want to have a career pertaining to or catering to masses, whether you become a politician, whether you become a actor, musician, in any way, you need to have 10th house and 7th house to be in a very empowered state. Now friends, in his case, if you will see, definitely his 11th house has got less points. So that in itself tells about that 3rd house being strong, that he was very powerful, he was very competent. 10th house strong means that he used to put lot of efforts as well. But now I do not know the kind of efforts he put. The results which he got was not equally reciprocating looking at his SARV ASHTAKVARGA chart. Now just because he had faced and he has battled with depression and all of that, now that could be one of the pathological or biological reason, or that could be frustration on the account of the return on investment or returns which he is getting on his work, the work which he is putting in. We can also correlate it with that as well. Now friends, one last thing which I want to explain over here before we will shift to other aspect of our discussion is that, now friends, there is one more way of looking at the gain aspect of the life as well, because many times when people want to know that, okay, in which field I should make my profession, I should make my career, or which field is going to be most fruitful for me. So all what you have to do is that you have to first look at which house in your astrological chart is getting majority of the points. So now in Robin Williams chart, as you can fairly see that in his 3rd house he has got most points. So now all what you have to do is that you have to see from which house the 3rd house is coming 11th to it, because 11th house is always the house of wish fulfillment, of gains, of incoming gains. So now friends, if you will go 3 houses ahead of the 3rd house, you are going to reach the 5th house, because from the 5th house the 3rd house is 11th to it. So we can say that if he is going to make his profession, his career connected with the matters of the 5th house, he can be very successful in that. And see, that is what happened in his case, in his life, that he was connected to the films and television and the Hollywood, and because of which he made use of his performing skills, and which gave him magnanimous success in the Hollywood. So that is how friends you can also do. Now if you will have this doubt that if in your chart you are going to have majority of the points or maximum points in 2 houses, so for example you have 37 points in 10th house, in the 3rd house, then you have to see basis your dasha system which house is getting more influenced at that specific time. So now friends, concept is very simple. All what you have to do is that in whichsoever house in your Ashtakavarga chart the house is getting the maximum points, all what you have to do is that you have to think about the profession connected with the matters of the house which is third to it. So if in your chart, let's say for example, you are going to get majority of the points in the Sarvashtakvarga table in the 9th house. So now 3 places ahead of the 9th house is the 11th house, because if you will make 11th house as the ascendant, then your 9th house will come in the 11th house. I hope you're not getting confused. So definitely for someone who's going to have majority of the points or maximum points in the 9th house of the Sarvashtakvarga table, making 11th house or 11th house connected profession or signification, whether the planetary presence which is there, whether the sign which is present over there, can actually contribute a lot to the financial gains or professional success perspective in the life of the native. Now friends, other aspect of this topic which we have to discuss is that, so now friends, first we discuss the general parameters. So friends, after doing the general parameter analysis, now we will shift our discussion to the next point, which is going to be understanding the Sarvashtakvarga table on the fourfold division on the basis of the Dharma triangle, Artha triangle, Kama triangle and the Moksha triangle. So that's very simple. Dharma triangle, which tells about the righteousness and the moral values. So the first house, 5th house, 9th house are considered as the Dharma triangle. Second triangle, which is the Artha, represents prosperity and economic values, in which 2nd house, 6th house and 10th house is taken into consideration. Third triangle is the Kama triangle, which represents your desires, intellectual pursuits, pleasure, love, psychological values. In that we have to make a sum total of the 3rd house, 7th house and the 11th house. And friends, in the Moksha triangle we have to make a sum total of the 4th house, 8th house, 12th house in the Sarvashtakvarga table, and it is going to tell us about the creative pursuit, liberation, spiritual values and the self-actualization. So now friends, all what you have to do is that just because we are making a fourfold division, so the total points which we have in the Sarvashtak table are 337. So if you are going to divide it by 4, you are going to get as 84 as the average point. So out of all these fourfold division, once you are going to do this, you will get this idea that which specific area or aspect of the life of the native is strengthened. So now friends, that's very simple. In the last video where I gave the example of my chart, so I wanted to explain this in the last video as well, somehow that got forgotten. So I already had the slide ready with me. So now friends, basis my chart, as you can see over here that in my Sarvashtakvarga table, my 9th house has got majority of the points. So if I'm going to make a sum total of the Dharma triangle first, so first house has got 28 points, second is the 5th house which has got 24 and the 9th house which has got the 38 points, making a sum total I'm receiving as 90 as the total in the Dharma triangle. Then is the Artha. In that we have to make a sum total of the 2nd house which is the 21, 6th house which has got 33 points, 10th house which has got the 26 points, making a sum total I'm getting 80 as the sum total points. Now friends, if you are going to follow the same pattern, at the end you will get this idea or the outcome that my Dharma triangle is the first most strong, and after that comes the Moksha triangle. Now friends, regarding the Moksha triangle, in our Bharat Hora Shastra and all the classical books, a lot has been written that Moksha can be seen as Ghatak, which can be very pain inducing as well. So now friends, you have to understand this thing that all these things work in this fashion. Like for example, if 8th house is currently activated in your life because of the dasha or because of the antardasha, so if you are working in the lines of spirituality, occult sciences, then definitely it is going to work as a blessing in disguise for you. But if your life has nothing to do with the matters of the 8th house, nothing to do with foreign land, with occult sciences, mystic sciences, taxes, insurance, then trust me, you can fall vulnerable or fall prey to the energy of the 8th house. So it all comes down to whether your life hovers around the aspect of these triangles or not. So that is something friends which you can also use while doing a scrutinization of the Sarvashtakvarga table, because whatsoever outcome you are going to get in the assessment or the analysis of the Sarvashtakvarga table, that is going to give you a complete composite summary of the contribution of all the planets and all the houses in your life. Now friends, the third aspect which we have to discuss today is about the compatibility related to significator. So now friends, for this aspect we will take our discussion from the Sarvashtakvarga table and we will come to the Bhinnashtakavarga table. So now friends, that's very simple. In any good software you can have access to all of these tables. Like I took a screenshot from the Jagannath Hora software. Now friends, when I say this topic that compatibility related to significator, what does that mean? So that means that you will get this idea that each planet, the way it is exerting its influence in specific houses of your life. Now this can prove to be very fruitful. Let's take up the case of moon first. So in whichever house moon is giving maximum points in your Sarvashtakvarga table, the Bhinnashtakavarga table, you can fairly conclude this thing that the day when moon is going to be transiting from over that house, your mood is and your energies are definitely going to be very uplifted that day. Now let's say for example in your natal chart, in whichever house, in the Bhinnashtakavarga table, in whichever house sun has given majority of the points. So in whichever month sun is going to be transiting over that house where it has given, in whichsoever zodiac sign in the house where sun has given majority of the points in the Bhinnashtakavarga table, that month can prove to be very lucky for you for the upliftment of your public image, esteem, strong vitality. You can also get some sort of recognition and award during this month or that month. So that is often you have to do a scrutinization of the Bhinnashtakavarga table. Now when I say from the moon's perspective, so study your Bhinnashtakavarga table of the moon, that in whichever sign it is giving majority of the points. So trust me, if you are gonna find a partner who's going to have a moon sign similar to that, so like in my chart, like my moon is giving majority of the points to the 7th sign, so which is the, from my rising sign, it is coming to be the Libra sign. So definitely if I will be friends with someone who is going to have a Libra moon, I might remain very compatible with that person. Now this could be business partnership, this could be friendship, this could be marriage. So that is how you can see and relate the importance of the Bhinnashtakavarga table. Now friends, what I told from the moon's perspective, which tells you about the mental emotional compatibility, from the sun's perspective, that specific month could prove to be very lucky for you for the enhancement of your reputation, public image. Same way friends, like if your aspirations hover around the concerns of the real estate, so trust me, in whichever house of yours Mars is giving majority of the points, the month when Mars is going to be transiting from that point, from that zodiac sign, you can actually get benefited from all the signification of the Mars. Same goes with the Venus as well. And friends, in whichsoever sign Venus is giving majority of the points, if you will be in a relationship with someone who is going to have Venus in the same zodiac sign, you might have got a very good physical compatibility with that person. So that is how friends you have to take into consideration. Like when we talk about the transit of Saturn or Jupiter, which is a matter of interest and curiosity for all the astrology lovers. So in whichever house or sign of yours Saturn is giving majority of the points, and whensoever Saturn is going to be transiting over that house, that sign, it can actually manifest very good results. And same is applicable for the Jupiter as well. Now friends, Jupiter plays a very pivotal role for giving us marriage, giving us progeny, children. So regarding that front, your family planning can hover around that, or you can include Bhinnashtakavarga table for that consideration. When we talk about from Saturn's perspective, attainment of power, professional achievement and all of that can be taken into consideration in the house where Saturn is giving majority of the points, and if Saturn is crossing or transiting from over there. So that is how friends you can utilize the signification of all the planets and their contribution in the Bhinnashtakavarga table, and also friends their contribution specifically from the transit perspective as well. And lastly friends, like when we talk about the profession and the gains, so I have also explained that topic, that in whichever house of yours you are going to have majority of the points or maximum points in the Sarvashtakvarga table, all what you have to do is that you have to place that sign in the 11th. So all what you have to do is that you have to go 3 places ahead of it, because if you will go 3 places ahead of it, so that house or sign with majority of the points in the Sarvashtakvarga table will become 11th. So that means the sign which is third from the maximum points in the Sarvashtakvarga table, that third house from there can actually prove to be very beneficial if you will make your profession connected with that field. So this is something, friends, which I wanted to present as a part of my contribution on this topic of Sarvashtakvarga table. Trust me, friends, there is a lot which need to be understood, which need to be learned in this topic. I'm just slowly, gradually building up your base, and trust me, we will keep on going deeper into the scrutinization of this very important concept of Vedic astrology, which is Sarvashtakvarga table. So friends, for further more updates and notifications on the divine science of Vedic astrology, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and like my Facebook page. Dhanyawad.